he was being sued or he was being pursued for basically using a very general image of the person's face that you can just get in any video sequence if you just wait and kind of pause for the right moment for him to put the head in a certain position. And here you have the abuse on the internet. People can very easily copy these pictures, and every time a person visits your webpage, he or she will get a copy of the image on the browser cache at the very least. So lots of copies are being made of the image, and some people will want to try and prosecute you as though you took the image, or as they will call it, stole the image, and then went around and make lots of copies and start to give it to all sorts of people. It's really hard. I have to be very careful when I get images. I always get them from official sources, and if it's a Creative Commons thing, I have to give attributions, which I'm very careful to always do.
Well, if I can just interject for the purposes of clarity, because for the benefit of the listeners that don't come into the chat room, Roy referred to me liking Sarah Palin. I'd like to make it clear for the record now that I don't agree with anything she has to say. It was a comment Roy refers to is, I can't remember how this discussion came about, but it was in the TechBytes chat room, which is absolutely fantastic for a quick casual chat, as well as talking about the latest happenings in the world of IT and tech. And I happened to say she was a fine-looking lady, I think was my words that I used, and that was the only remark I made. So just before you hit the send button on that hate mail that you have to send to me, it was in relation to the lady, not in regards to what she represents or what she says. So sorry, Roy, I'll let you get back to your.
Yeah, well. No, I apologize for it.
No, that's
my phrasing of the situation.
I was just getting ready to see the
talk about politics, but I think you put it very well what the situation is, because she's supposed to look well. And the message, to a certain extent, is just the message of the party. So she's just being used as a carrier of the message, and she has to stick to certain values, otherwise she's going to be smeared. Like even some Republicans will be smeared by the Republicans once they deviate from the party, the major points and the major funders' party lines. So anyway, this is a situation where you have people being pursued or being harassed, threatened. In some case, a person, I can't remember, it's Volok Conspiracy. That's the name of a certain blog, where the person was threatened again, quite usually with a lawsuit unless he removes the post. And this is a case where you have rich people being, if they're being criticized, they don't have to be right about the argument. They don't have to actually show you your argument is incorrect. They can only threaten to sue you and say, well, you can remove the post or I sue you. And obviously, if the person sues you, that person can stay in court for a long time and cost me a lot of money. And this way they can again censor things based on either copyrights or, defamation or whatever, and any of these things. But copyright is the easier way. If a person quotes something you say, of course, to criticize people, you need to quote them. This is one of the reasons for fair use, having exceptions in the case of you doing a rebuttal or doing a parody or something like that, because we will not have conversations, we will not have any communications if I cannot say what a person told me or what a person claims to have done. I cannot actually respond to something without actually presenting to the reader what the person said or did, even if I paraphrase, which... Yeah. In the case of paraphrasing, the person might say, oh, you misrepresent my views. I say, well, okay, I'll just quote it straight away. No, it's copyright infringement. And then you have these, you need to have some tools for passing some content between places. And that's what the internet is about. I mean, everywhere you go on the internet. I mean, I always put quote signs and I use block quotes to distinguish between things that I write myself and things which I take to show people what other people say. That's the way the internet is composed. Even things like Wikipedia is to a certain degree composed of links and titles of papers and things that derived from. If you're very strict about copyrights, you might say, well, this is a copyright infringement, and this is basically ripping off other people's ideas or patents or whatever. You need to have more sharing.
I mean, I personally have always thought the copyright weapon, when it's wheeled out by people, especially in respect of text, is merely because they've got something to hide or they're frightened of something. I mean, I don't know about you, Roy, but whenever I see my words quoted, even if it hasn't given proper credit, I'm chuffed to bits to see them, that somebody's taken the time to read my words. and quote and copy them and put them somewhere else. I'm not particularly even bothered about the attribution. And certainly, as you say, for making a argument or a counter claim against somebody, it's vital that you're able to quote what they've said in their article that you're referring to. Otherwise, yours doesn't make any sense at all. And I think, as you said earlier, I think there needs to be a very deep and long look at the copyright law, certainly in respect of online material. I think it has gaping holes in current copyright legislation that we're now just tentatively experiencing through this brave new world of digital communication and digital media. And as the Digital Economy Bill has shown already, it's impractical to work in reality because of the volume of people that we're dealing with. It was a little bit like when you mentioned about YouTube. The volume of videos going onto YouTube and the volume that's already there is far too much for any one person or any army of people to sit and go through and check every second of footage. So what do? You can't have an issue, have a case where people just go around deleting everything to be on the safe side. Otherwise, that's unfair. That doesn't promote an open society. So I think copyright law needs to have a far deeper look at by all those concerned in it. I think the companies that are busy fighting this online sharing and fighting the ethos of people coming together and sharing material, I think they need to take a long, hard look at whether they're going to jump onto a new, potentially very lucrative new business model, which we've already had good examples of of this new business model working. For example, the Humble Indie Bundle that did very, very well, relying on nothing more than people's donations, because people want to help a project that they enjoy. They want to give money to something that they use and something that they find entertaining. What they don't want to do is spend £15 on a DVD from our price on a film that's made very, very quickly and is completely rubbish, and then feel cheated when they can't take it back to the shop because they get pointed at saying, "Oh, you've copied that and you're a pirate." So I think this new business model is going to take off, and I think it's already shown to be very lucrative, and people are more than happy to pay for something that they enjoy using. I think it's quite right and quite reasonable. The inference that people that use free and open source software freetards, I think is the name that they use, is completely ludicrous, because we're more than happy to pay for software that we use and we enjoy and we find functionality with. But yeah, sorry, my rant is over, Roy. I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, well, I sometimes wonder, and I think lots of people genuinely wonder, if it's true that the margins have declined for, the value of the market is created by scarcity usually. The scarcity should be something like skills of people or time of people, or time people can offer. And if you're a famous person and you make very good music, people will pay you to perform, or to come to a party, or to spend time. You might want to spend time with a person as a consulting person, or a person who gives you some guitar lessons. In some cases, people did that. And it might not be a very lucrative business. You might not be able to become a millionaire out of it. But you will be able to offer a lot of material to a lot of people, and to a lot of people who otherwise don't have legitimate ways of being able to afford to do these things. And this is also a case where you might basically say, you don't lose market to people who would never have bought your stuff in the first place anyway. These might be people who cannot afford to buy your stuff. You might as well have them have your, have access to your things. You don't lose anything.
I mean, it's not just afford either. It's because a lot of the products on the market are rubbish, aren't worth the money that they're being sold for. And some products, I must admit, are. I think I spoke in a couple of episodes ago and said that I bought the Harry Potter series on DVD, and I've also bought the box set on Blu-ray as well. Now, for me, I don't mind paying twice effectively and getting the same product just with a little bit better quality, because of the products I enjoy. But I think when you've got so much material being released by Hollywood that isn't up to standard, that isn't good, and they're still expecting that revenue, and when you look at the huge profits involved nowadays compared to the 80s, you just wonder, this argument of losing money to people that are downloading or sharing is something of a little bit of propaganda. Because if people, like you say, download it, they're probably the people that weren't going to buy it anyway. So you've lost nothing.
Yeah,
I certainly would consider downloading Harry Potter because I wanted to buy it and I wanted to have the best possible quality with all the extras and the fancy little box that can sit on my bookshelf. being as superficial as I am, that's what I wanted. So there would be no question of I would never personally download Harry Potter, so they've got a sale out of me. There might be somebody next door that never wants to buy it and would have no intention of, and who downloads it. Well, Warner Brothers have